Anytime you make an important decision, or you set an important goal, in that moment, you want to do something to take action that commits you to follow through later on. In that moment, you want to call somebody, you want to email somebody, you want to enroll in something, you want to hire somebody, you want to schedule the meeting, you want to set up the time when you're going to go say, it's over, or I'm hiring you, or let's begin. Because if you don't do it, how many have done this before? How many have gotten something, it was really valuable to you, you're all excited about it, you know you're going to do it, and then you go home and you got 8 million texts and 20 million emails, and you got all these demands there in front of you, and you lose momentum, and you get out of what? Out of state, and then you never do it. Who's done this before? Right? So it's critical. Like I've trained my kids, myself. It's like if there's an opportunity, if there's something I know it's valuable, even though I feel I can do it, grab it by the hair right now. Do something with it right now to push yourself forward. Now, I want to just remind you one other quick little formula. So now you understand, if I'm not happy, why am I not happy? Tell me. My life conditions, what? Don't match my blueprint or my expectations. If I'm really happy, why? Matches. And if I'm over the moon, what happens? It's even better than my expectations. If I'm really suffering, the dark night of the soul, why am I suffering? My life conditions don't match my blueprint, and I feel helpless to change it. So there is a state called helplessness that's created by 3 Ps. You might want to jot them down so you can wake yourself up. When people are really stuck, when they're helpless, they develop 3 beliefs. They think first, the problem is permanent. If you think a problem is permanent, it's over. Second, they think the problem is personal. Like there's something wrong with me. That's why this problem is here. And if there's something wrong with you, what the hell are you going to do? You're you. And thirdly, it's pervasive. Meaning because my financial world is upside down, my whole life is upside down, and that's not true. You're allowing yourself to do that in your mind, but it's not true. You have a lot of other aspects of life. Your body, your emotions, your relationships, your friendships, your family, your spiritual life. So it's pervasive. When you start thinking the problem is permanent, personal, and pervasive, you will be completely stuck. You will feel helpless. So how do we deal with this? Well, the first thing is to realize no problem is permanent. Only your soul is permanent. And not even your body is permanent, so a problem's not permanent. How many had a problem that seemed permanent and you found a way to break through eventually? Make some noise if you've done this, ladies and gentlemen. So you need to just own from now on, when you're starting to feel helpless, and it looks like there's no answer, you got to remember, I can change my actions or I can change my blueprint. No problem is permanent. Only my soul's permanent. And it isn't personal. There's nothing wrong with me. This is just a situation that my brain has not been prepared for, right? I will figure this out. And pervasive, and the way you can know it's bullshit is there's some aspect of your life that still is great or beautiful or you could appreciate. So when you have that, you can free yourself from the prison that most people sometimes will live in for the rest of their life, because as long as you hold that belief, you're in learned helplessness. How many have seen somebody who's in learned helplessness, who you try to help them no matter what you do, they don't believe the answer, they won't happen. That's what's going on when it happens. What do they need? Let me remind you they need what I call 5 to thrive. 5 to thrive. You know the triad, you've been to the UPW, right? So the quality of our life is the state we live in, right? How many buy that? Say aye. You got a great relationship, you make tons of money in your state. It doesn't matter how great your relationship is, doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter at all. It's the state you live in. But the state we live in, we know, is controlled by these 3 factors. The foundation, the base, is physiology. That's why, like, for example, laughter and training yourself to do it over and over again is invaluable. If you do it enough, it starts to happen more easily. You literally become wired to laugh. And you'll find yourself giggling or laughing at shit that used to make you crazy. If you know the 5 elements, which I know many of you don't, but there is a sequence of evolution in human beings. If you're a wood, for those who understand what I'm talking about in shorthand, you're driven to break through and use very much anger. But your destiny is the next piece, which is fire, where you burn enjoyment and happiness and joy. If you're in fire, you become earth. But each of these steps are affected by the way you use your physiology. How fast can you change when you change your state with your physiology? How fast? If you do it a little bit, you get a little change. If you do it intensely, you get an intense change. If you do it consistently, you get a consistent change. If you do it once in a while, you get a once in a while change. But you're in absolute total control. True or false? So the only reason you don't is you have a belief system that says, I don't want to feel good right now. Have you ever had somebody say to you something like, you're just like, this pisses me off or whatever, say, why don't you change your state? You're off, change your state. Who's had one of these little discussions with someone before? I know there's times I don't want to change. Who can relate? I know how I don't want to. Why don't you want to? Because there's a belief in there that makes you not want to change. And the belief is, if I just feel good, this shit will happen again. Raise your hand if you can relate. So you have to come up with a new belief or you'll stay in a lousy place. History is shaped by people who can change somebody's state. History is made in moments of decision, and moments of decision are controlled by the state you're in. There are yes states and there are no states. And if you don't know how to change those states in yourself, much less in other people, you can't lead. But if you can lead yourself, most importantly, and you can lead others. So changing physiology is not that difficult, but you got to train yourself. So while we're here this week, we want to create a series of different things we can do to train ourselves. And so one of the things we do, for example, at the UPW, as you recall, is I tell the story about how you can train your body, how I did it when we did our first date with Destiny down in Del Mar, California, where there was literally a train outside on the beach, which I didn't know. So I thought this is a great place. We'll do Date with Destiny. People can go out on the sand. They can design their goals and their life and then come back. But really what happened is this train was so close that 7-8 times a day you'd hear this train whistle that was piercing to the ears, and then the building would shake from the train going by, and people would be pissed off because they'd be in the middle of like sharing something really important, or it was a goal they wanted to share. It didn't matter, good or bad. The constant interruption made people crazy. And so that's why I finally said to him, I said, guys, I just realized something. I said, I can schedule when you're going to be pissed off at 9 a.m., at 11:15, at 1:45. All I need is the train schedule. I said, but how many of you have something in your life that is a stimulus trigger, we would say today? It's just a stimulus that you use, not makes you feel, that you use to piss yourself off or you use to get frustrated. How many have somebody in your life like that? No one will raise their hand. I said, well, then why don't we train ourselves to feel differently? And so here's what we're going to do. Every time we hear this train, we're going to jump up like little kids. I don't give a shit if you're in the middle of writing things. I don't care if you got 4 books. Drop the books and instantly jump and celebrate like a little kid. Not like, oh, shit, it's the train. We got to celebrate again. Fuck you. Not that. That doesn't work. You got to actually go for it full tilt. And I got everybody to do it. After about 4 or 5 times, people started to look forward to it. And then after a while, it became a real celebration. And then all of a sudden, there were 8 celebrations a day instead of people being pissed off.